why we are using this color, right? And why this element represents what. So we'll go to that, right? Any questions here?
Nope.
Okay, north, right? So new ideas. Water is the element which flows and it gives you new ideas. In our zones, we have discussed NNE is the where the healing is. There is immunity. So in the north of northeast, there is immunity. There is a Devta, which is the Dhanvantri Devta is there, which is for providing immunity, right? So new ideas, new opportunities. So if you are doing business, if you want new customers, if you're in job, you want new jobs, water element on north has to be balanced. If your north is not balanced, then you will put so much effort in trying to get a new job or new business opportunity, or even trying to sell. People who are in sales, they should have their north well balanced. If their north is not balanced, they will always have issues in selling items because the water is not flowing properly, or water's energy is not balanced. The water is not balanced, then the flow in your body or in your life is missing. Flow is imbalanced, and hence anything to do with flow will get impacted. Okay, so if it is in balance, so you say you can articulate a good picture, or you will be very strategic in putting together your viewpoint, and also you will have a lot of philosophical views because the northeast comes in there, and there is that is a zone of Jupiter. But you will have a good view, good vision can come in there as well. But primarily, it is about new ideas, new opportunity, healing, and immunity. So if it is not balanced, then people will get sick easily. For example, because that's your immunity becomes weak. And once your immunity becomes weak, then it starts impacting the other parts of the body. So for example, okay, I'll give an example later on, but for the timing, just assume new ideas, new opportunities, new job opportunities for sales people. This is important, and for your health, this is where the zone of immunity. So if your immunity is weak, then you definitely know that there is something wrong in your north side, or your water element is imbalanced. Right? Now, how do you see whether it is balanced or imbalanced? So you can see if emotions, if person is not emotionally stable, then you know that there is something wrong with his emotions. That can also go in the space because that's where moon is. But this is something you will find that emotions are imbalanced. Weight gain can come from earth as well, and I will tell you why. But assume because our body is made of 70% of water. So if the water is imbalanced in the body, that means the composition of the water in our body is also imbalanced, and suddenly we start putting on weight. So when you see weight gain, you will see that either their north is imbalanced or their southwest is imbalanced, right? And I will explain why southwest, but assume for north it is imbalanced because the body is made of water, 70% water, and so suddenly the weight is increasing. Now, other thing to remember is that whatever zone is actually, let's just go back here. So for example, I wanted to show you something. So let's just show this here. Okay. So we said north is imbalance, then you will have weight gain. What does that mean? What that means is, suppose your property is square, but suddenly this part of the land or the area is missing. So your property is going like this, this, and this. So I mean that part of the property is all missing for argument's sake, right? So let's just say missing is red. This is missing. So your property is here. So all the water element is gone. So the element which gets imbalanced, because this is imbalanced because the property should have water element same as the idea is that all the 5 elements should be in harmony and should be balanced, meaning they should have equal proportion. So if you divide 360 by 5, you get 72%. Each element should be 72% in the property or in the place where you live. But if this is missing, that means this is missing, but then there will be some other element which will be on the higher side. So that might be that this might be extended here, earth might be more, or air might be more, right? Could be anything. But point I'm trying to say is whatever element is missing, the element which is missing in your property, that is actually impacts your body, and your body takes that element in excess. Always remember this. Whatever element is missing in your body, in your property, you will gain that element in your body, which you're not required. So if water is missing, you will put on weight. Similarly, if Earth is missing, you will see, or if Earth is imbalanced here, people will put on weight, because that is Earth. Earth is stability, right? If this is missing, you will see a lot of people who have put on weight. Either their north is missing, they have less energy of north, or they have less energy of Earth element. This is the point I was just trying to say. So let's just go back there.
Vishal,
Hmm?
I'm sure. So a question on that one. So when you say that if any element is missing, then that will be substituted in the body of the person.
Correct.
Is that body going to be the owner, the property owner, or the whole family, or
No,
how is it going to impact the person?
Yeah, it actually that's a good question. That normally impacts the owner of the um, of the property. But also it also depends upon the type. So north is Mercury, right? So there is an astrological view here. North represents a Mercury element. So if somebody within the property also running the dasha or the antardasha of this time, so that time. So if, say, for example, you are the owner of the property, right? So the water is missing, so you will gain property, you will gain weight. But then on the same side, suppose your wife is there, she has no impact, but suddenly she starts putting on weight because it's Mercury. Mercury also represents thyroid, so she might, develop a problem of thyroid, for example, and she will put on she will put on weight, right? Then you say, well, I'm the owner, why it is impacting her? The reason it impacts her because suddenly she might be starting the dasha and antardasha of that zone, which is in this case is Mercury. So if she runs dasha of Mercury and the water is missing, she will put on weight. And the moment the Mercury dasha goes away, that weight loss will happen on its own. So during that time, you will run to the doctors, you will go to the gym, and all sorts of stuff will happen. But the thing is, everything is controlled by the nature. The moment that time period of that planet goes away, you will suddenly come back to your normal stage. It should come as long as there is no other issues. But in short, the answer is it first impacts the owner, and secondly, it will impact the other people only if the respective zones, dasha or antardasha, will come.
So the second part, when you say the respective people, if I put the respective people as tenants, because
Correct.
property owner might not be living in the property, so those tenants would be affected, or the owner only will be affected?
No, so if it is a rental property, so the person who has got the rental property, okay, so the owner still gets impacted because that is your property. Remember that. But because the person who lives in the rental property, they are living in that environment, so it starts impacting them. So so anybody who's living in that environment will start impacting them. But as I said, that will be dependent upon their dasha and antardasha through the chart, right? But the person who would have signed say for example, signed the lease, he will be the most impacted by that, irrespective of dasha and antardasha.
So anyone who is associated with this property, be it the owner or the tenant, will be impacted, right?
So in case of tenant, assume it as good as like a owner, because he signed on and so if you have got 5 tenants and only one person had signed the lease, so the person who has signed the lease will get an impact straight away, irrespective of his dasha and antardasha. But whereas other tenants will feel when their dasha and antardasha is coming. Having said that, the owner of the property will always feel some issue, will feel the effects of this property, because that property is owned by him. Even though he's living in another property, but there are some effects which come because he owns the property. But in simple terms, you can say the person who has signed the lease, he will be the first one impacted, irrespective of his dasha antardasha. Rest of the tenants will be impacted according to the dasha antardasha, and the owner of the property will have some impact. But majorly, the person who signed the lease will be impacted more.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so imbalance here, emotions are imbalanced, weight gain, no opportunities, right? So we'll discuss, there are 2 types of imbalance. One is when the property is cut, right? So we just discussed this. When the property is contracted, meaning, meaning that this part is missing. What happens if the property is extended until here? Say, for example, your property is going like this. That is extension, right? That means you have more of this energy, whereas the rest is part is missing. So these are the imbalances going by 2 ways. One is contraction, which is being removed, and the other one is the extension. So extension is like this, right? Okay, so both of them are classified as imbalance. And obviously, when a element is extended here, then there will be some other element which will be less because the water has filled so much here. So there will be some other element which will be less in the property because everything has to be in the harmony of 72%. So if some element of water is more than 72%, that means something else is missing somewhere, right? So you will have the impact. So let's just go back here. So air sickness, so weak immunity, okay, again, because that's of the north or northeast, insecurity will also come in, and you will fight on small petty items. कि घर में रह रहे हैं तो टूथपेस्ट के ऊपर लड़ाई झगड़ा कर लिया. फॉर एग्जाम्पल जब टेनेंट्स रहते हैं तो वो टूथपेस्ट के ऊपर झगड़ा कर लेंगे. तूने मेरा नमक ले लिया, तूने मेरे कपड़े ले लिए, तूने मेरे कपड़े नहीं सुखाए. Like that, you know, very small and very immature issues you will fight on. There is no reason to fight on, you know, if you ask somebody. So that is when you know that water element is disturbed. Air signifies flow, joy, happiness. Healing, assume that healing and immunity are in the cardinal direction because this direction is a cardinal direction. So when the transformation is taking place, that's the direction where the transformation takes place. In fact, we should use a different one. Let me just take that out. I just wanted to use that for the directions. Let's use this. Just duplicate. Okay. Okay. Oops. Okay, let's go back here. And just do it there for the timing like that. So, so healing, even though healing is here, but when as you can see, this is the 45 degree. The northeast is if you see north is 0 degree, then this will be the 45 degree. So here the transformation is taking place from air, from water to air. And when that happens, yes, the air is created or the plant is created, but water still carries until the mid part of it. From here, the plant still has some water. You know, plant will always have some moisture content, right? But from here onwards, the water will dry up. Water will technically dry up, and the plant becomes totally dry, and then it becomes into fire. The fire will come. The fire will just burn the plant here. But here, until here, there will be some moisture content in the fire. So water is being carried into the next element as well, right? So that's why you see healing or immunity being carried over. But ideally, air is about flow, joy, happiness. See that ENE is recreation. Air is also to do with social association, which I have not written here. But it says in balanced state, you meet new people. So all your social connections. So if you are in politics, if you are in sales, your east has to be well placed. East is also means sun. So your sun has to be well placed in your chart. If it is not, then you know there is a problem. But this is where the social associations comes in. So if you're in sales, you must make sure that your east is balanced. And now there are two types of balance, as I said, imbalance. One is you can have less energy of this, or you can have extended energy of this. So we'll go to those points as well. So let's just finish this. Social associations. What else is here? Meet new people and take risk. So the next part is the ESE, which is the zone of anxiety churning. Churning means there are so many thoughts which are coming up and you are thinking a lot, right? So people with a lot of ideas, you will see that they are thinking all the time. So there are a lot of thoughts coming. Now the question is, if it is balanced and if it is imbalanced, what happens to that? If it is balanced, then those thoughts will materialize into a tangible action. If it is imbalanced, then they will just come as thoughts, but you will not be able to take any actions. So we'll discuss what does that mean. But this is what you see. In balance, take risk and meet new people. If it is imbalanced, can't sit straight. And reason people can't sit straight because it is air element. So if you have got, so for example, if air is less, right, that means a person will have a body which will have a lot of gas in it, which means that person will suffer from gastric trouble. So person who is suffering from gastric trouble because they have got too much air in the body, you know that their east element is is missing, because that is less. Something is wrong in their yeast, or their yeast is imbalanced. That's why this person is having a gastric trouble. So people who have got this issue, then you know what is happening in their yeast. Something is, because air is missing, so they're having air in their body, like that. Prolonged anger, problem with neighbors. Remember, this one is interesting. Problem with neighbors. You can check that. Things holding you back, skin infections, sexual dissatisfaction, and joint pains. So air is also responsible for joint pains. Air will also means, if your air is imbalanced, as I told you, if the air is imbalanced, people will have a lot of dry skin. Like, for example, I suffer from a lot of dry skin. You know, my feet always have some dry skin. I always have, keep scratching my leg. So people who are scratching their body, or जिसको हम हिंदी में खुजली करना बोलते हैं, right? They're scratching their body all the time. You know, there's something wrong with their air element, because their skin is very dry. The moment you see somebody's skin is dry, you know air is imbalanced. A person who is not being able to sit properly, you know, moving here and there, बैठे बैठे चेयर पे बैठे बैठे हिलता रहता कोई आदमी, their body is not stable. They can't sit properly in one place. तो उसका जो है एयर एलिमेंट जो है, ईस्ट जो है, ENE से लेके ESE तक, that part is imbalanced. So you know that air element is, something is wrong in there. Joint pains is also responsible for that. And the person who's not able to forget or forgive others, कि किसी से झगड़ा कर लिया, you know, you had a fight with somebody, and people will say, you know, why don't you let it go? These people don't let that go easily. They keep holding on stuff, which is also possible in water element, that these people are very emotional. You know, water people are very emotional people. So sometimes they find it hard to let it go. But remember, that air also has got some water component. So that's why you will always find the water people with north, or people with water element, or with air, they find it hard to let go the past, or let go or forgive somebody. They don't forgive easily someone, right? So this is something to remember. Then yeah.
In the air element, it says if it's imbalanced, sexual dissatisfaction, but that is the zone for sex. It's northwest, right? So how come
No, that is attraction. Okay, that is attraction. That is more to do with attraction. Okay, that is not to do with sexual. In fact, I will tell you, there are two devtas. When we were doing the devtas, remember how we said that in southwest there is one devta which will help you in the delivery of the child. But there are two devtas. One is in the northeast, and one is in the east of southeast. Here, I forgot which one. Brisha, I think that's probably Brisha. Or Savita, I have to check that. There are two devtas, remember, here in this direction and in this direction, which are actually responsible for the for conceiving a child. Okay, people who have the tendency to masturbate, say for example, tendency to masturbate, or जिसका हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं कि pre-ejaculation, for example, that happens because of the imbalance in the east or southeast. Remember this one. People who suffers from pre-ejaculation, there is something wrong here in this direction, ESE.
For conceiving, you had mentioned Parajanya.
Where is Parajanya? Here, right? Just in northeast, okay, not just here, ENE. So that one, and there is another devta, Himanshu, I forgot the name, which is in ESE. Either it could be Brisha, or it could be Savita. I have to check that. So these two for conceiving a child, and for masturbation, for pre-ejaculation, or people who have got less count in semen, like you know the count of semen, or their हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं उसको कि वीर्य कमजोर रहता है, right? So they don't have enough strength in their semen. You know that there is something wrong in ESE. So anything to do with the semen issues here. So to conceive, obviously you have to have the right count of what do they call in the semen? They have to count something. The quality of semen is not good. And remember, Surya is the lineage, right? Sun is for lineage. The lineage in the family or the lineage comes from sun, because the parent, the father actually carries the XY chromosome. So that, and you know what is the lady carries? The lady carries the YY chromosome, right? So the XY comes from the father. So the lineage comes from the father. And what is father? Father is sun. So that is the zone. So I think it will be Savita. I have to check that. That will be the zone which is responsible for carrying the lineage, for carrying the the next generation. So that's why if you have sexual dissatisfaction, when we say sexual dissatisfaction, this is more to do with the mostly to do with the pre-ejaculation, or the female is not being able to conceive. That's why this sexual dissatisfaction comes from here. Make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to be very careful, specifically if people who masturbate and people who have pre-ejaculation, you know there is something wrong going here. I will tell you what is the zone. I've written somewhere what zone is that. I mean, know the zone is there. I just don't know the devta. Okay, the next one. That's why I say Vastu is so powerful. If you know the devta, you can actually look at and ask. When people come to you and say they have a problem, you straight away know, okay, this is the zone which is impacted. You don't even, and when you look at their body, you can tell, okay, this is the zone which is impacted. But as you observe more and you correlate, you will find it. Okay, next is fire, is transformation, confidence, energy, action. Okay, so we know fire is action, right? So this is the direction of the fire. Southeast, south of east, south of southeast, and south. Okay, so this is the zone of Lakshmi. That's where goddess Lakshmi is, and both these zones. This is Hanumanji, south of southeast, and this is Yama, the son of Lord Sun or Devta Sun. So direction is south, and this is for cash